You said that the universe came from a singularity. Oh, that was interesting, because I look at the universe and I see a plurality. I see a lot of stuff, not just a single thing. So, do you believe that a singularity became a multiplicity or a plurality? Well, then it wouldn't therefore be an absolute singularity. Unless you're saying that that singularity was actually a multiplicity, in which case it's not a singularity. In worst case, and what's more interesting yet, is you say that it existed as a singularity eternally and then created the universe. Unfortunately, for something to be eternal, and eternal really means always, in order for something to have always been a singularity, it would actually still have to be a singularity. It would never have been able to become the universe. So I feel far more comfortable, and it makes more logical sense because it's not internally contradictory, that an eternal God that never changes created the universe because he is the eternal creator, as opposed to something that is, you claim to be an eternal singularity transforming into something that would therefore make it not eternal. In order to be eternal, you cannot change. If you are eternally something, you must always be that way. So in order for an eternal singularity to exist, it would have to eternally be a singularity or never would have made the universe.
Oh man, now he's bringing up the Big Bang. He started off sounding like a Dr. Seuss book. Multiplarity, singularity, hapularity, whatever, what the hell he was saying. Okay, first off, the Big Bang does not describe the universe before the Big Bang. Second, it is a non sequitur to say that the universe as a singularity had to have existed for an eternity as a singularity, because time is not Euclidean concept. Space-time itself was created at the Big Bang. It is reasonable to deduce that time began at the Big Bang. Let me explain. We keep track of time by noting things that change. The seasons change, the Earth rotates, the planet and moon orbit, etc., etc. When the universe was a singularity, or a single point, there were no changes. So measuring time before the Big Bang would be meaningless, as the state of the universe from one moment to the next would be absolutely the same.
So there's another canyon in your worldview. And lastly, and well, a few more points since we have a few minutes. Do I feel comfortable? Why do I not post your video responses? Do I feel threatened by what you have to say? No. By virtue of the fact that I'm responding to your video, and by virtue of the fact that, I've watched your videos, and I've watched a lot of videos, if you've seen how many videos I've watched on my main page, I don't post video responses from atheists for two reasons, and one of those reasons is to protect you. The Bible says that for anyone who offends someone who believes in God, who makes them doubt God, it would be better on the day of judgment for them to have been cast into the sea with a millstone hung around their neck.
Oh, of course, because no scientist is religious. Atheism equals evolution, part of your false dichotomy.
So it is out of fear for the atheists who set themselves up against the knowledge of the truth. It's for their own protection that I don't post their video responses.
You liar.
On top of that, it's also for people who are on the fence. People who say, well, maybe I believe or maybe I don't and I can go both ways. It's for you guys that I don't want to make popular any views that set themselves up against the knowledge of God, because on one hand that would make me responsible in some way, in an inadvertent way. It would make me responsible for that. And one, I won't take responsibility for leading people away from God. I will simply proclaim the truth, and I will not link you to videos that do not. It's as simple as that.
So, now you want to hide the other side. I thought you young Earth creationists were hell-bent on schools teaching both sides of the argument. Now you only want your side to be shown. If you're so smart and well-informed, then why can't you sway people to your side?
If you have a problem with that, run your own channel your own way. Okay, so last point. And I thought of this, Goat. We were talking about the eyeball and removing parts from it and stuff like that. And I think both of us totally missed the point. There's a lens on my camera here. There's a lens shutter, and I just did that to simulate it. There's also a glass case to protect the lens, and then there's other things. I could remove the shutter, I could remove the glass case, or we could take a watch, which we were talking about. You could remove the wristband, you could remove the gold plating, you could even remove the little thing that when you hit the button you can see in the dark, that little button there. But it would still be intelligently designed, and it would still function.
Is anybody else getting sick of the watch comparison, straw man? Venomfang X, if you do not know the difference between an octopus and a wristwatch, well, then I'm not going to waste my time explaining it to you. And one other thing, an octopus's eye is not our eye with parts missing. Our pre-hominid ancestors' eyes were not our eyes with pieces missing.
So just because you can remove parts of your eyeball and the eyeball still function does not mean that the eyeball was not intelligently designed just by virtue of the fact that you can remove stuff from it. So both of us were way off the point. The point was, and the point is, was it intelligently designed? Yes or no? I don't care that you think it can be reduced in its complexity. It might very well be. That does not mean it wasn't designed in its complexity. And I think the fact that you can remove parts from it and it still be functional is a hint that it was intelligently designed anyways. Last point you made is, why did God make the world appear to have evolved? Because of the fossils and the mutations. Well, I think that's a straw man. Because if you ask me, I don't think the world shows any evidence of evolution.
No one would ask you, and yes it does. That is why scientists continue to use it. It has continued to fit the new discoveries that have been found for the last 150 years.
I think we see trees making trees, we see dogs making dogs, we see cats making cats, we see elephants making elephants, and I've never seen any exception. And I think the best one is grass. You know, grass, there's a lot of it. I've never seen a blade of grass evolve or mutate into anything other than grass. So, contemporarily speaking, there is no evidence for evolution.
Another way overused straw man. You simply refuse to understand the evidence.
The fossil record is hotly debated, and it depends again who you ask.
What is hotly debated? Whether or not the fossil record is supported by evolution? That is not debated.
One evolutionist admitted this concerning what the fossil record actually says.
Here you have a zoologist who admits that he knows of no such transitional fossil, living or otherwise, that could make a watertight argument for evolution.
Quote mine alert, quote mine alert. When was this stated? Where? What context? What article? What publication?
Okay, so you guys might wonder, why did I call this video Goat the Magician? Well, he's not going to pull a rabbit out of a hat for you, but he is going to pull something out of his ass.
I've had about as much of this as I can stand. Thank you for watching, and once again, my name is J.R. Chadwick.